Bridget Jones' Diary.
Hey everybody, I'm Eli.
I'm Diana.
Welcome back to AI Made Us Watch, where today we watched Bridget Jones's Diary. Do you say Bridget Jones's or do you say Bridget Jones?
I say Bridget Jones because Jones's is too long. It's annoying.
As a student of Strunk and White, the elements of style, and someone whose last name ends with an S.
Sure.
Correctly.
It's Jones's.
It's S''S. Mm-hmm. Now there are other grammaticists who will argue that S'', but that's not accurate. That's why you tune into AI Made Us Watch, because we get into the deep questions about these movies.
Yeah,
like the grammar
Which is
of
how
the
does
plural
it break
form
down?
of a last name ending with S as a possessive.
It's actually Bridget Jones's diary.
Well, before we get into the movie,
Hmm?
I got nothing to say.
Oh, well then, I don't know why you
I don't update John. I will say this. Regular listeners of this show, of Ridiculous Romance, y'all know that it is coming up on the Atlanta Fringe Festival, which is a one-week theater festival, and Diana herself is the executive director and makes all the gears turn and makes it happen. And I'm backing her up on that. So it is a big project of ours every year. So while we will be dropping episodes this week, I think some of our social content will be on the lighter side, but then we'll have nothing else to do with our lives after that, so we'll have nothing to do with
I will
podcasts.
want to do nothing but sit at home and watch movies.
Yeah.
So this is going to be amazing.
I'm really excited about that part.
Yeah, me too.
Festival
but I'm
too.
also excited about the festival.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great.
It's just like, it's a different kind of excitement. And I'm excited for that. And then I'm also excited for all the lovely relaxing that we will be doing after that and introverting, turtling back into a shell.
Back into the shell, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Real introvert, just like Bridget Jones. Introvert's not the right word. She's just a mess.
She's a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
You know, but she's a relatable mess. In the beginning of the movie, when she's singing all by myself and she's a little squiffy and she's in her jams and she's singing in her her magazine microphone. Perfect. I was like, that's real. That's real shit.
We've all been there.
All of us have definitely done that.
Been there. So many logos at the beginning of this movie.
I know, you mentioned
How many studios does it take to make Bridget Jones's Diary? It's like Miramax.
This was an across the sea collab. Okay, we're talking about a British property with an American star.
Yeah,
and everyone else is British, I think.
I'm pretty sure she was the sole American. Besides Natasha. No, not Natasha. Lara.
Lara. Yeah, the magazine
from New York.
From New York.
Yeah,
from the New York office.
Well, I'll get to her in a minute.
I know you will.
I'll do a quick recap as someone who hasn't seen this movie before.
Right.
Just from memory. Let's see. So Bridget Jones, she's a mess. It's the classic, like, oh, I'm in my 30s and everybody's bugging me about getting married and stuff. And I don't even have a boyfriend. I just like drinking and smoking. I've got my best friends and that should be good enough, but I feel like I'm missing something. So then she starts flirting with her boss, Hugh Grant, who's a clear sleazebag. I mean, she says it right up front.
Oh, yeah.
They're doing it for a while, and then he ends up cheating on her, or he was cheating on someone else with her, turns out.
Perhaps, yeah.
Perhaps. So they break up, and then she bumps into Colin Firth, who she's been hating on the whole time, and then turns out they like each other. Then they get together in the end.
It's Pride and Prejudice. His name is Darcy.
Mr. Darcy.
It's the exact same character almost.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so perfect.
So this is my last note on my note, but let's start with it.
Okay.
Battle of the Darcys. Who you got? Where's your money? Matthew McFadden? Colin Firth?
God, that's a tough one. Listen to me, because Colin Firth, and I have seen the Pride and Prejudice that he's in.
Yeah.
And I've seen the Pride and Prejudice that Matthew McFadden.
Wait, he played Mr. Darcy in a Pride and Prejudice too?
Yes, it was a BBC series.
Oh.
And I think they're both great. It's just a different take. I thought they were both like swoony for different reasons. So they both worked for me.
So you can't choose.
I cannot choose.
How about the romcom where the two Mr. Darcys find out that they're perfect for each other?
Please. Let us do Darcy on Darcy action.
It's Darcy on Darcy. In this corner, Matthew McFadden.
With his shirt.
With his shirt unbuttoned. And his famous hand clench.
Oh, yeah. And he's walking across the field at sunrise. And then Colin Firth's famous one is that he's coming out of the lake And
Oh.
his shirt is all wet and it drips. Even in the book, Bridget Jones' Diary, they're watching that scene over and over. Her and her girlfriends are like watching that scene over and over again, like Colin Firth coming out of the water. So it's so funny that they cast
it's
Colin
very
Firth.
deliberate
It was
that they
very
cast
deliberate.
Colin Firth.
Yeah,
Okay,
very deliberate that he's
That's
Darcy.
funny. That's funny. That's good to know. I don't know. I've seen the Matthew McFadden one. I read the book in high school, I think, but I don't know it. But I was thinking through this movie, like, have I seen this 100 times before? Because it is like the most template rom-com.
Yeah.
And I know people like that. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's me with me in rom-coms. I love some rom-coms, but the generic, like, I just want to be able to put my PJs on and eat a pint of ice cream, put this on, and only have to pay attention to it and get some warm, fuzzy feelings. That's not how I like to spend my time. So a movie that sort of follows that template where I'm just like, okay, we all know where this is going, right? I don't usually pick those.
Right on. What's a rom-com you like?
I like Notting Hill. That was a fun one.
Notting Hill is a great one.
That's a good, I felt like that had some unexpected moments.
It did, and the friends were just so lovely. You just fell in love with everybody. So it was really fun to watch, and that's why it was funny to think about how long it is. Like, it's kind of a long rom-com.
It is long, yeah.
But like, it doesn't, it's not wrong to have a long rom-com if you have enough story.
How many roms would a rom-com long, if a long rom-com was long? All right. There's a bunch. I don't know, to list them all.
I just wondered if,
But I think when they get a little more into this kind of template of cliches, which I felt like this movie overall was. It's cute. It's fun. I enjoyed watching it. But I was never once surprised or felt like I missed something. The only thing I missed, this was funny, I think I just looked at the IMDb page, so I didn't see her walk in her short skirt.
Oh, yeah.
And Hugh Grant sends her the email. It's his first flirtation with her. Sends her little emails like, your skirt called in today, I guess.
It's off sick or
and
something.
Yeah, and I missed that. So all I caught was the emails. And I was like, what are they doing? And you said they're flirting. And I was like, I know what flirting is. I just didn't understand the context. That was a real burn. I don't think you've meant...
You're like, babe, that's called flirty banter.
Yeah,
do you remember?
I did miss that most of my life.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was like, maybe he doesn't know. That would be me too. I'd be like, oh, I guess he's like, I'd be like, I'm so sorry that my skirt's too short. I won't do it again.
Yeah.
And then he'd be like, I guess she doesn't want to fuck me.
Or he would continue, because she kind of said that. And they thought that was the flirtation. Please don't speak to me like that. That's inappropriate. That. And yeah, me as the boss would be like, oh my God, what did I do? I should resign. I got to go to HR. She's right. I should never have said that.
So the long story short, if we were in Bridget Jones' Diary, it would have been a very short movie with no sexual action whatsoever.
No, everyone resigns out of shame.
Everyone, it's
after
an empty
the briefest
publishing
flirtation. Yeah.
An empty publishing office. No, but it's true. It's a bit cliched. I had a lot of fun watching it. I thought Renee was really fun.
She's great.
And of course, what year was it again? 2001.
And we said, when the AI told us this was a 2001 rom-com, we said, it's not. There's going to be some problems.
Yes. And the main one in this is that she's constantly worried about her weight. And they're telling us how fat Renee Zellweger is.
She's got to squeeze into her Spanx.
She's got to squeeze in her, her shapewear. And of course, it does nothing for her because she is not fat. Like, I'm like, you are fucking like 130 pounds. Like, it's a normal woman's weight.
Yeah.
But that's a huge part of the book, too, is that she's very obsessed with that type of stuff. And there's actually a really lovely part in the second book. Some shenanigans occur where she ends up in a Thai prison, women's prison. She has to be extradited by the British government. Having
not read any of the books and having only just seen the first movie, that sounds like the craziest thing I've ever heard.
I was thinking that watching this, I was like, would you ever believe what happens in the sequel? But yeah, she gets stuck in this Thai women's prison and she's real scared until, all the women find out that she knows Madonna's Immaculate Collection by heart. So she sings it and then she becomes friends with them.
So the second one jumps the shark.
The second one has it's different. It's just different. It goes in its own direction. But anyway, she loses a lot of weight in this Thai prison. And when she gets home, she's so proud because she's finally 118 pounds, which was her ideal weight.
Okay.
And her friend Tom is like, girl, I think you kind of looked better before. Oh. And it's like this kind of like, oh my God, she's thinking about the 20 years she spent counting every calorie and trying to eat diet food and all the time she struggled with her weight. And now that she's finally where she thought she wanted to be, it doesn't suit her.
Right.
But I was like, I wish there was a little bit of that in this because it's crazy to watch that and be told that woman is fat.
Yeah.
And that people are like Laura, the girl that Hugh Grant is sleeping with from New York. She pops in to find her naked on the tub. And then she's like, I thought you said she was thin. And I'm like, what am I? Anyway, it was just a lot. You know, I guess that was heroin chic times, though, 2001.
I was bothered in the opening when she shows up at that party at her parents' house, and she's just wearing her normal clothes, and her mom's real nasty about it. Oh, that's what you're wearing? Classic. Then she goes to change into that poinsettia dress
that her mom makes her wear.
Her mom makes her wear, and she says, I'm wearing a carpet.
Yeah, great.
And then she bumps into Colin Firth, and the first thing out of her mouth, or in her monologue, she's judging his sweater. I loved and hated that. So on one hand, I was like, excuse me.
Right.
You just said.
Right. Where's the grace for this man having to wear his shit that his mom made him wear?
But it also like made her very real too, I guess. It's like, well, aren't we all kind of judgy pieces of shit in our own moments?
It's true. Well, and the reason she thinks people are going to think she looks like a carpet is because that's what she would think if she saw someone wearing it. So she's like, that's me.
Yeah.
And I think everyone else is like that.
Yep.
So it makes me really neurotic and anxious.
Yep.
So that's very real about her. For real. Very relatable character.
I've been getting this tattooed somewhere so I never forget it. Colin Firth, what's his name? Darcy. She says some outrageous things to him, very awkward, uncomfortable stuff. And he says, yes, well, perhaps it's time to eat. And walks away. And I was like, what a great exit line.
Oh, man.
Oh, yes, well, perhaps it's time to eat is going to get you out of any conversation. I don't care if there's food around or not. I'm adding that to my lexicon.
Perhaps it's time to eat.
Yes, well, perhaps it's time to eat. That's my out from now on. Loved it.
Also, Colin Firth. No one does repressed lust like Colin Firth.
What I love about Colin Firth is he has one facial expression in this entire movie, and it is, can I please just have a good time? Please. I'm so miserable.
Well, see, I don't know if I agree with you. I think that's where he shines so great, is that he looks like someone who's very reserved and he's not sharing his feelings. But if you look in his eyes, you know, he's got a lot back there.
Oh, yeah.
And whenever he's like looking at her or whatever, he's like, oh, I guess that's happening now. Like he just kind of like shuts off. But you can see the process. You know what I mean? I'm just like, Colin Firth does so good. I mean, just like Matthew McFadden's hand. He does that. It's all inside.
Yeah.
And it's hot.
No, I just think to me, he is so constantly portrayed as like, he's not happy in his life.
Right.
And I feel like that's just always on his face. I mean, you know, excluding the end when they get together, where I think it changes a little bit, but it's also his sort of learned expression.
Yeah.
Right. Is I'm a lawyer. Oh, I'm dating this beautiful woman. And that's my life. It's a good life. You know. He's just
that's what I love about the story, I think, about the love story, is that he's like, I need someone like her. She loosens me up. He was so human in her kitchen, hanging, making jokes and playing. She was just like, who is this guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, I can be myself around you. I don't have to act. Like, clearly, Natasha, she's like snapping at him, and she really wants this look of a life.
Yeah.
And he's like, I like, you know, that's my look of my life, but it's not the feel of my life. It's not my internal self.
Right.
And so I'm not happy. Like I feel like I'm just playing a part that I don't really like. But when he's with Bridget, he's like, I get to be stupid and be silly and, you know, kind of loosen up a little. Blue soup and marmalade. That's cute. I love that for him.
Yeah. First of all, don't eat the blue soup.
I cannot
melted
believe
plastic. That is a toxic soup.
I cannot believe they ate that soup.
So she's trying to cook a soup, and she ties the leeks together with string, which I don't know
what she was trying to make.
I cook a lot. I'm not some master chef or anything, but I've never had to tie food together. I guess that's kind of a stock.
Listen, this
sort
is
of thing.
This is British cuisine, though. Let us.
Well, she uses like a gift wrap ribbon to do it, and it melts into the soup, so they get blue soup. And I'm like, that's melted. They're eating it, laughing about how bad it is. I'm like,
Stop
you're all
eating it.
talk about microplastics. This is like macroplastics.
It's full macros.
You are just drinking plastic out of a spoon. It should be part 4, Bridget Jones' mental deformity when her brain is, you know, just coated in plastic. She can't think straight anymore. And all her friends have serious
Bridget Jones medical
sensory
diary.
issues. Yeah. Bridget Jones symptom diary.
Symptom diary, yeah.
I got a question for you. How are Jim Broadbent and Hugh Bonneville not related?
I think they have very different facial structure, but really similar vibes.
I think they have very different noses, but otherwise exactly the same facial structure.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know. I just can't tell those old British white guys apart, you know?
They're all the same to me.
They're all the same to me.
I do love Jim Broadbent.
He's
That was something I do think this movie suffered a little in the adaptation was her parents' whole situation.
Okay, because I didn't like it.
No, okay.
Yeah, okay.
What didn't you like about it?
Well, I kind of want to hear what the book had. Well, I'll say this. It was too cutely portrayed for how ugly it was, and then it was too easily resolved for how destructive it was. I just felt like it was the least realistic part of the movie, and it was way too saccharine or something.
I don't know that the book does any better on that particularly. I thought what was cool about it in terms of the inclusion in the book, at least it's been a while since I read it, but my memory of that is that it was Bridget seeing what a long-term relationship really looks like and how difficult it is.
Yeah.
It's kind of like today where people are like, I'll just keep swiping forever and ever and never find anyone to connect with, where you're like, you can always think there's this ideal out there somewhere instead of this real flawed person in front of you that you have to live with, you know what I mean, and grow with and deal with, you know what I mean?
Deal with.
This guy. No, I'm just saying, that's marriage, you know? So I liked that in that kind of juxtaposition where she's seeing a really long-term relationship kind of fall apart and these older people kind of grappling with, you know, her mom's wanting a sense of identity for herself. And she's like, sure, of course I'm all for that. But also like my dad's really upset and he's really heartbroken and he's like pottering around the house all by himself and he doesn't understand, he's broken. He doesn't understand what he did wrong, you know?
Right.
And she's out like made up, like fucking around with her new man and everything. And just kind of flaunting it a little.
Yeah.
And then when they do make up, I think Bridget even is like, why would you take her back? You know, and her dad kind of talks to her about like, well, I just, you know, this long together, you know, he just kind of talks about what that really means and how little that meant for him in terms of the scale of what they had been through together and what they meant to each other and everything. So it was just better done, I guess, but also just that book way where you get a lot more subtext.
I think, and that's the thing, because it just felt like there were so many blanks that needed filling in. So that helps a lot, because as I'm trying to make sense of it myself, I'm doing a lot of work to imagine or to kind of fill in those holes. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, when we overhear her mom saying at the end, like, well, you weren't really giving me a lot of attention and stuff like that. And so I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, we only saw Bridget and her dad's perspective, and now we're finally hearing the mom's side. There's really something interesting there, but it so little attention was paid to it that I don't think that retroactively that fills in to make it a successful plot line necessarily. It did feel just a little too loose. Like, yeah, it needed some more weight to it, I think.
I think so too, because even when she's explaining why she's leaving to Bridget at the, you know, egg demonstration thing, egg peeler demonstration, she's like, well, you know, I spent all this time raising his kids and taking care of the house, and like I'm like, who am I? What have I got? What am I in this world? Like, well, how can I introduce myself? I think that's a very normal thing for a lot of women to feel at a certain point in their lives. But then they kind of immediately, without sitting with that at all, went straight to, and the sex is great, you know, like some kind of like raunchy joke to make it funny, which is it is a comedy. But I was like, that is a real moment with her mom that we didn't really get. Yeah. That I think would have made it a little bit, I don't know. There's just something there with the mom that didn't quite. Because
she was portrayed as so villainous around that. Right. That we have no sympathy for her when she starts cheating on her husband. And again, like there's a world where you can do that and then surprise your audience with like, oh, well, I bet you didn't think about this, did you? And you're like, oh my God, you're right. I didn't see her side. But I think you're right. The way they jumped around, I feel like the movie wants me to lose sympathy for her. And then it was hard to earn back.
There was just some lack of like sympathy for her mom trying in the best way she knows how. To get Bridget happier, because Bridget does want to be with someone. It's not like she's like happily single, you know, she's like, please pair me up. But she hates that her mom tries to pair her up, you know? And it's funny that her mom's like, you should have all the same things I have, even though I'm now very unhappy with what I had.
Oh, I mean, that's a
just
classic generational trauma thing, right?
Contradiction that her mom's dealing with too, I think.
Yeah. She's always talking about losing pounds. Is this an American adaptation thing where they converted it to pounds? Because even her scale says stone.
Oh, yeah, it should say stone.
And I don't know, but I always hear British people say stone.
I bet anything. I don't remember how the book put it, but I bet anything they fixed it for us because we're like, we don't know what that means.
I don't know.
You tell me somebody 2 stone, I'm like, sounds light.
I mean, it's true.
Sounds heavy. I don't know.
Yeah.
How big's the stone? Like,
Right.
I need more information.
Yeah.
Is it a boulder stone?
Is this a porous stone? Is this igneous?
Okay.
Sedimentary?
Is it a dense stone?
Right. I go to England and I'm like, I lost 50 pounds. They're going to be like, oh no, have you considered taking out a loan?
Yeah.
Or something.
Where'd you lose it?
Yeah. Oh, I'll look around. I'm going to spot you a couple of quid.
Spot you some quid.
Is what they would say, I assume. They're very kind people.
That's what they would say. I
The
could
British.
spot you some quid.
The British, known for historically levels of generosity, never taking anything for themselves.
Historically kind and generous.
Just giving. Giving people. I've loved every British person I've ever known. You mentioned the friends.
Yes.
Her best friends. They were a lot of fun. Jude, I know immediately when Jude starts, the first thing she talks to her friend Jude, she's in the bathroom crying.
That's right.
And I was like, I've heard this woman crying in a bathroom before. And yes, indeed, that was Moaning Myrtle from the Harry Potter movies.
Yep, Moaning Myrtle.
But more than that, that actress, whose name is Shirley Henderson, was also the voice of Babu Frick, the only redeeming character in The Rise of Skywalker. And then later to be seen, I think, on Boba Fett, this little mechanic dude.
Yes!
Apparently Shirley Henderson is Babu Frick.
Nice.
She got a great voice for it. You know,
right?
She's got a character voice for
she
sure.
She does have a very character voice.
Yeah. And then, Gaius Baltar from Battlestar Galactica being her
okay,
gay bestie.
Gaius over here. Loved him. But I was like, I wish there was a little bit more time with the friends.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Because, of course, she spends a lot more time with them in the book.
Yeah.
And you hear a lot more about their lives and their singleness and their, love lives and so on. And it's pretty funny, like her giving advice and them giving each other advice when they're all shit messes, and they're like drunk as shit. And, I just wish we'd gotten a bit more of that. Instead of her being alone all the time in the apartment, like if she had had a few times with her friends.
I will say it's tough because there were, like the parents plot line, like the best friends, there are moments in this movie where I'm like, I wish we spent more time on them. And I also don't wish this movie was 1 minute longer than it is.
No.
I honestly would have cut probably 40% of Hugh Grant. Because, that just went on for so long. I was like, I know where this is going. He's cheating on her. When he told her the story, so at one point he tells her about Colin Firth and their backstory. And he went up and I introduced him to my fiance and... well, let's just say I never forgave him. And we see a little cut of a hand opening a door and then it cuts away. So you're like, okay, this is, if you've ever seen a movie or heard a story told, you know that it's a lie, they're hiding something. And my immediate thought was that it's one of two things. Either he's totally lying and that it was Colin Firth's fiance that he slept with, or what I thought it was initially was Colin Firth found out that Hugh Grant was cheating on his fiance and he told her. And that's why he was like, I never forgave him.
You. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it turned out to be the former. He just was lying. He was just making the other story about himself.
Mm-hmm. Little Wickham move, if you're a Pride Prejudice fan.
Yeah, there you go. It's just like, okay, we know what's coming here. There's so much, it felt like 2 movies. Mm-hmm. Felt like one movie about her dating her boss, who's a rich guy, and you're just waiting for the bottom to drop out for a long time. Mm-hmm. And then it's about her and Colin Firth trying to figure out that they like each other. So I would have just tightened that up on the Hugh Grant side, maybe given a little more to the parents and the friends, tried to fill out those B plots a little bit, give some stronger characters there, and called it a day. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bridget Jones, your diary is a little bloated.
Wow. Just like everybody says she is. Way to be an asshole.
I didn't say that.
They could have cut a lot of the weird slo-mo and saved some time to give to the friends.
Man.
There were so many random slow-mo motions that I was like, why is this happening?
Look, 2001, we're 2 years post-Matrix, is bullet time, baby. More bullet time.
I need bullet
in Bridget Jones' diary.
Where she's going, oh my gosh, they're fighting. Like, who needs bullet time for her hair to flip around? But I did like their fight. Darcy and Daniel Cleaver. fought in the street, and it's great because they clearly never fought before. Like, they're just not guys who fight, so they're just like,
okay.
Like, that's pretty funny to me.
Major issue with the fight. One minor, one major.
Okay.
And it's both about when their friend Tim, is that his name? Tom, real gossip, runs to the nearest restaurant and says, "There's a fight, everyone, come watch the fight." And so only the wait staff comes out. And then, ridiculously, but I'll allow it, Colin Firth and Hugh Grant back each other into the restaurant and start fighting in there.
Right.
Sure, fine. Right. Okay. It's funny. There's some comedy going on. Darcy loves a hammer fist. He's like punching down a lot.
I know.
He always comes from the top and like punches down. I'm like, wow, that would really hurt. Anyway. Then,
he's tall though. Maybe that's how he learned. He's like, everybody's shorter than me.
True. Then it's a birthday party.
Yeah.
And this waiter comes down the stairs with this huge, it's the Parthenon.
Parthenon, yeah.
As a cake. And they're singing happy birthday. The fighting barely pauses while the wait staff sings happy birthday. Hugh Grant sings along.
They sing along.
Cake sits down on the table. And then Hugh Grant charges Colin Firth, and they both go through the window of the restaurant, crashing on the street outside. And I felt so cheated because that was such a Chekhov's gun moment. The fact that one of them didn't go into that cake is a crime. It's a cinematic crime. I'm like, oh shit, here it comes. Somebody's ass or face is going into that cake.
Arrested.
And they didn't do it. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Nothing
Maybe
but respect for the director, Sharon Maguire. Nothing but respect, except in this moment, you should never work in this town again. Are you kidding me? That cake was there to be a part of the fight. Otherwise, it should not be there.
Maybe she was trying to pull the rug out from under you. You're expecting something, you got something different?
No. That's a requirement.
All right.
That is a rule of storytelling. You bring a cake out in the middle of a fight.
Sometimes it's not a twist. Sometimes it's a discordant note in the song.
Yes.
You have to fix it.
And then the lesser problem is them standing up after that window crash and not being dead.
Listen, having just seen Cutter's Way, we know what happens when you crash through a window. You die almost immediately in your friend's arms. Yeah. That's what happens to you.
Jugular slit. Just
blood
glass
everywhere. And like they just get up. This is what gets me all the time with glass scenes.
Yeah, they get up.
They always
hands
put
on the
their
glass.
full palms down. Obviously, you would not do that.
I mean,
I also think about that sugar glass, and I'm like, how much did they pay for that window?
Oh, a lot.
Over and over again.
I'll tell you, I worked in props, and we had to get breakaway glass quite often, and it's expensive.
And it breaks
and
on
it
the way.
breaks very easily. And you only get like 2 takes.
Yeah.
I bet they did that in one and just had like 5 cameras set up or something just to make sure they got it. But I'll tell you another thing from when I worked in props. I was working on the TV show Dynasty, and we had a big fight scene at the Georgia Aquarium, and it was at a big gala event, and there was a big cake on the table, and you know what? Somebody got thrown right into that cake.
You're damn right they did. Because on Dynasty, they follow the rules.
That's what you do. How dare.
It's by the book around here.
Almost ruined the movie. I mean, really,
like that.
40 points
I would have
off.
turned it off right then.
Oh, she says, a mini break means true love.
That's right. You take someone on vacay, that's the end. That's it.
I mean, that's fair. You don't want to go on a vacation with someone who turns out to suck. You want to be pretty sure.
I mean, a vacation is kind of a declaration, I think, in a way, to say, like, I want to spend a whole weekend with you.
If you're rich, and I wouldn't know, but if you're rich, I might be like, first date, let's go to the why? I don't know why the first location that popped into my head was the Everglades, because that's
that is a terrifying suggestion for a first date. I think you're going to throw me to the Gators. Like, this guy wants me to be dead and gone.
I could do better than that. First
with
date,
no evidence. That's what you just offered me.
Or this is why you're still single, because you immediately assume the worst.
Excuse me, I have a ring right here from a man who would never take me to the Everglades.
I
sure
sure wouldn't.
He's not rich enough.
That's not the reason.
That's not why we're not going. It's the bugs. It's the bugs.
First date, let's go to Aspen. How about that?
Oh, now that's interesting.
First date, let's go to Honolulu.
I still feel like a first date, you're taking me out of the country. I'm nervous.
If you're rich.
Or out of my state, even.
If you're rich, they let you do it.
Oh, boo!
They let you just take them to another location. A second location.
A second location?
On a first
Terrible
date.
idea. Terrible idea.
However, I did like on that vacation, there was a wedding booked at the estate they were staying at. And while the wedding was happening, they were upstairs doing butt stuff. Like,
yes.
heavily implied.
Easily, definitely butt
that
stuff.
because Bridget says to Cleaver, what you just did to me is illegal in many countries. And he said, you know, blah, blah, blah. They flirt about that. Their flirting was terrible. And then she says, do you love me? And he says, if you ask me that, I'm going to do it to you again. And she says, do you love me? He says, all right, turn over. And then they start giggling and we pan down the outside the window and the wedding's going on. I'm like, they're doing butt stuff up there.
Having anal sex during this wedding.
If you're going to try that, might as well be in a special occasion, right? Someone else's wedding happening below.
Someone else's wedding. It's so romantic.
Butt stuff at the party.
What else?
Well, I have a note here about Laura.
Oh, yeah.
So Bridget comes back. She finds out, of course, obviously we wait 50 minutes into this movie to find out that Hugh Grant's actually got another girl going on here from the New York office. Bridget finds her in the bathroom of the bedroom. He's rich. He has bedrooms with bathrooms.
Can you imagine?
I don't understand that.
Can you imagine?
There's a bathroom in the bedroom?
Shouldn't there be an outhouse in the backyard?
These people live in a different life.
What
That's all
a
I know.
time.
The bathroom is in the hallway.
That's right.
And everyone uses the same one. That's how I grew
a
up.
hole in the ground.
Well, he walks into this woman is striking.
Yes.
Very beautiful person. And I was like, man, I don't know why I caught feelings in that one shot. I feel like I've met this woman before. Well, I have. I mean, I haven't, but I've seen her before.
Okay, well,
I
have.
I've already developed a crush on her. And it is in one of my favorite movies. And don't you judge me. Almost Heroes, starring Matthew Perry and Chris Farley, directed by Christopher Guest.
That's right.
Christopher Guest won't tell you that. He never talks about it. But I love that movie. And she plays the parallel, because the movie is about them being basically, they're racing Lewis and Clark to the West Coast. They want to map America before Lewis and Clark does. And this actress, whose name is Lisa Barbushia. Anyway, she plays their Sacagawea parallel.
Oh.
So, you know, I don't think she's a Native American person, or maybe should have been cast in that part, but she is so beautiful. And she's funny in that movie too. Anyway, that's who she is.
So
that's
you're like, I'm already in love with
her. I was already in love with her.
Sorry,
long
Bridget.
ago.
Get out.
Long ago.
He's got this hottie on his bathtub. He's got Sacagawea's equivalent on his bathtub.
No, she's not.
Not at all.
But then she was immediately very rude, as you said.
She was very rude.
I thought you said she was thin.
Women lifting up women. This was not a thing in 2001. She was like, you can cheat on me, but she better be hot.
The background love stories in this, and I think rom-coms kind of in general, are always so like they're just whatever they need to be at that moment in the plot. It's like Natasha, Darcy's girlfriend or whatever, being the worst, just being rude and snappy and demanding. I was like, that's always so convenient in rom-coms when you're rooting for two people to get together and the partner they already have is a bad person.
Yeah.
So it's okay for me to root for them to break up.
Right.
And I'm like, in real life, it's not usually that easy.
Usually they're fine.
Yeah.
That was something cool about my best friend's wedding, I feel like, which I don't remember well, but Cameron Diaz is the girl that her friend's marrying. And she's a lovely person, you know, like she's just a nice girl. That was a cool thing that they did in that movie.
Yeah.
Not in this one, obviously. But,
right.
but yes. I liked the casting overall, except for Sit Up Britain. The boss at Sit Up Britain. Her TV boss.
He didn't work for you?
No, because in the book, he just... Like he says it in the movie. He's like, I'm thinking fire helmet. I'm thinking you're coming down the pole. I'm thinking miniskirt. But he says it so slow. Like his pacing is not, to me in the book, he was kind of coked up. Like she was always talking about him being kind of coked up. And he's like, I'm thinking miniskirt. I'm thinking fire helmet. I'm thinking you swing down the pole. I'm thinking shaft. I'm thinking phallic. Like he's a tabloid guy. So he's just really going off all the time. And
we got our audio clip for the ads for this episode.
Yeah.
So I'll run those.
Phallic.
I'll just throw those on
Perfect,
TikTok. And we're going to hit 1 million followers in no time.
Look, there was a lot of phallic stuff in this movie.
Sure.
So
A lot of Renee
egg
Zellweger's
peeler.
butt, too.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, the egg peeler her mom's playing with is like
She's
the
like,
original shake weight.
Yeah, and then it pops out, and then it
And then
squirts
squirts.
out like egg
Ugh.
juice, which was so gross.
Egg juice. There's no liquid
What
after
are
you
you
hard boil an
doing?
egg.
I
There
was like,
shouldn't
why
be.
is that
You
there?
did it wrong. I feel one of my favorite parts was how over the top the couples party that she went to was.
Yes.
And how obnoxious all those couples were. And I was like, God, I strive to not be that person as often as possible. But I thought that was so stylized and over the top. I kind of wish more of the movie had been like that. I sort of was like, yeah, exaggerate her reality so we feel more what like she feels like.
Yeah, right on.
I think if we'd seen things the way she see things more, like I think that party was portrayed, of everyone just they were all so close to each other and like grinning and like
And they talked at
leering
the
at
same
her.
time.
They talked at the same time. It was great.
That was really
I
cool
think
scene.
I think the movie could have used more of that. I
Right
think it would have been
on.
an interesting style to put on it.
Yeah, right on. I could see that. Like
Yeah.
if every woman around her was always taller and more beautiful or
Yeah.
something, or just anything like that. That would have been an interesting choice.
As I kind of said before, it felt like two movies at times. I felt like Darcy's attitude towards her shifted very jarringly after she found out that she was being cheated on by Hugh Grant. To me, that was too sudden. It was too different from how they'd interacted with each other before. I also felt like very suddenly Natasha was way worse than she was before. So to me, that was just like, oh, I guess the movie is changing its whole perspective now.
Yeah.
Which again, maybe if there was something about how she's perceiving things in the stylization of it, it might have made more sense. But to me, it was just too sudden when he walks up to her and is just like, actually, I like you. I'm like, what?
I can't. It was just better in the book.
Sure.
Because you didn't like Natasha in the book either.
Right.
But you could tell that a lot of times when she did get worse or she got really shrill in her voice, it's because she's feeling him not being interested in her anymore. As time goes on, she's feeling him withdraw. So it makes her like cling more.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can just read the subtext a little bit better that they're just not doing well and it's making her nervous. So she's acting maybe not her best self.
Okay.
Bridget also, I haven't read this book in a long time either, so I might be misremembering.
It sounds
how
like you
nice she
read it
was.
yesterday.
I know, but I do remember a lot of it, so I'm like, but yeah.
Back to the fight.
Yeah.
Immediately post-fight, they get up from their window unscathed from their smashed, covered in
Perfectly
glass. But it's okay. We just brushed that out of their perfect hair.
I think Hugh has like he's got a little blood mark
A little
on
scuff.
on his cheek.
Yeah. She runs to
Daniel.
To Cleaver, yeah. And it's like, how could you do this? Because she doesn't know the full story. And I love that Daniel gets up and he's just got the shit kicked out of him. Jumped through a window. And he's just immediately like, all right, well, let's go upstairs and fuck now.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good moment. Very in character moment.
Yeah. His character is like that.
Yeah.
And it was, I think he played him really well.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He's very charming. He was fun to be around. You could see why somebody might be into him and want to go out with him. And also he was the most inconstant, unreliable jerk a lot of the time too. So you're like, this is not a good person. Right. But I can see how someone could continue to convince herself that he could be better. It could, if he really fell for me, he would be different. I can see it in there. I can see the potential, and you get a sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah.
With that kind of guy.
But he screwed up. Now he's an Oompa Loompa.
As you should be. The way he came back to her and was like, if I can't make it with you, I can't make it with anyone. And I need you and all this stuff. Like it was so selfish.
Yeah.
And so much about him.
Yep. Exactly.
That I loved her being like, this offer is just not good enough for me. Like I really liked that. And that was something I liked about this movie a lot, was that it was more about her kind of realizing she needed a person who is going to respect her and see her as not a chore to be around or someone to be embarrassed by or anything like that, but just I like you just the way you are, I liked her kind of realizing that she also liked herself a little bit more than she thought she did. And she's like, I don't want to be whatever person I have to be with you.
Yeah. What is it with going back to Notting Hill? So I don't know if this is British rom-coms or rom-coms in general, but just at the end when someone has to get to someone very quickly, the reckless endangerment that always happens in these driving scenes. They're always swerving all across the road. Bridget grabs the wheel from her dad, jumps into the driver's seat to get to this event to see Darcy. It only lasts if we only get a few shots of it. And I'm like, between here and there, someone almost died.
Yeah.
At least one person almost died.
Or kind of more funnily is that actually there was no obstruction and it would have been just as fine if her dad had just driven at normal speed. There is no reason to be doing that. They still get there like the same time as everybody else. Like it's a very normal like.
True.
So that was kind of funny to me.
True.
But again, something I had to infer for myself.
Right.
I made that joke to myself.
I wish my friends would just pop by and say, we're going to Paris.
Look, that's the beauty of living in London.
Easier in London, yeah,
you just
sure.
Get your ass on the train.
But my friends could pop by and be like, we're going to Orlando. Like, I would take that.
What train?
It's not a train, but you could drive.
What train, Georgia?
Well,
takes me to Orlando.
I know. Here's another big thing in this. It was a big moment in the movie, and I had a big issue with it.
Okay.
He shows back up. I'm not moving to New York. I'm staying here. Already I'll go back to Garden State and talk about our problems with the end of that movie, but it's okay. Whatever. I'm accepting it. This is what happens. He decides to stay for her. Throw away a whole career, whatever. It's fine. And they go up to their room. There's this like, are they going to kiss? Oh my God, they won't kiss. Oh, they got to kiss already. And she's like, hang on, let me go change my panties. She goes in the other room and then he reads her diary and she's talking shit about him all through the diary. And he leaves and she comes back out, sees the diary. Oh my God. Oh, he saw these horrible things about them. Chases him down in the street in her underwear. She's just like, doesn't think. She comes back, get her shoes. Funny moment. Love it. Great. And then he comes out and she spills her heart out. I'm so sorry you had to read that. It's just diaries. Diaries are nonsense. They're full of crap anyway. And he's like, I know. I just came to buy you a new one. And there is no world where I believe that person would, while she's changing, leave the house to walk down the street to a shop, buy her a diary without saying anything, to come back and be like, a bunch of this diary. Unbelievable. I didn't buy it for a second. It drove me crazy. I was like, obviously she's going to think you walked out on her. So unless you're trying to set up this scripted rom-com cliche moment, which I don't buy that his character would. And also, how are you sure that it's going to even play out like that? Like, she wouldn't be like, I guess I was right, fuck him, and not go chasing after him. Unhinged decision for him to leave the apartment at that time. Cannot get past it. Almost as bad as the cake. Not quite as bad as the cake, but it's up there.
Okay.
Rebuttal.
The part of that didn't work for me is that she yells out her window, Mark, like... And he can clearly is within hearing distance, but he doesn't even turn back.
Like, just a second.
He does look really mad.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wish you kind of hadn't included that. So like she had overreacted. You know what I mean? Like he was like, oh, I went out. And then she's like, where'd he go? I'm just going to run. I'm just going to run after him. Yeah. Whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, I was just getting you another one. But I thought it was cute. I know it's really it makes no sense. But I thought it was cute because it was him knowing her well enough to know that like all that was just Bridget being silly in her diary. And like we still have, you know what I mean? Which
would have been I think it's just, you'd get that message just as well if she comes out and he's just still there.
Right.
Because it wouldn't be overreacting. There's no world where her feeling like he left while she was changing is an overreaction.
Right.
That's a very normal reaction to a person leaving you without saying goodbye.
Right.
Right when you think you're about to start doing it.
It's true. That is jarring.
I mean, sex aside, I can't get it.
Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
You have spilled your heart to this girl that you've liked since you were 8 years old.
Okay.
And she was running around naked in your paddling pool.
Sure.
When she was 4. You're like, let me lean in for a kiss. And then, no, let's just go inside. Okay, we're going inside. Now I'm going to lean in for a kiss. And she's like, hang on. Like, she literally ducks.
She ducks him.
I was like, I'm not sure I give a shit what kind of panties I'm wearing. Like, if that's finally happening.
Well, maybe you should.
Wow. Okay, apparently I've really been turning Eli off this whole time.
No,
but I was just like, that feels like I would be like, I guess she doesn't really want to kiss me. Like, I don't know why she keeps avoiding it. I don't know. It was just kind of.
I wouldn't have had a problem with it. I would have thought she was going to brush her teeth.
Oh, okay.
Which I would have respected.
That's fair.
Because sometimes you're just like, oh God, we're in the moment. Everything's so good right now, but
my breath.
I got something died in my mouth, and I'm not going to enjoy this. That's my main thing. Is like, my breath has to be fresh if I'm making out with somebody because I won't enjoy it if it's not.
Right. You can taste your own.
Like, I'm glad that it'll be better for you too, but this is about me.
Wow. Selfish lover.
Yeah. That's what they call me.
He's a selfish lover.
We're going to get sued. I just wanted, while they're standing there and on the street in the snow, kissing, and she's in nothing but her underwear and a coat, I just wanted a constable to walk up. What's all this then?
Hey.
And bonk them both on the head with a billy club. Take them off to British jail. Do they have jails in England?
They do.
Oh.
In fact, they spelled it with a G.
Oh, yeah.
G-A-O-L.
Gaol.
Gaol. Like Joffrey. Joffrey.
Speaking of Joffrey, Uncle G.
Nasty ass.
Creep.
Pervert.
I like that I dislike that he wanted her to call him uncle while he's being creep. It's like,
that was so
it's
gross.
not creepy enough that I'm just, sexually harassing you all the time. I want to be related to you while we're doing it. Like, oh, disgusting. Man.
Disgusting.
So gross.
He's like groping her ass all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, who? Why? And then finally in the Tarts and Vickers party that wasn't actually the Tarts and Vickers party.
Awesome.
And she shows up like Legally Blonde in her outfit, in her little bunny outfit. Finally is like, Jeffrey, like his wife keeps being like, Jeffrey, stop that. Jeffrey, stop that. And I'm like, you need to tie his hands behind his back or something. Yeah. Leave him home. Yeah. Like, this man he should be in jail.
He's, unacceptable public behavior.
Gaol. He should be in jail because she can't be the only person he's doing that to.
No, definitely not.
That's all I know.
I need someone to tell me that a group of people 60 plus have ever held a Tarts and Vickers party, because also so unbelievable that, again, maybe if this movie was a little more hyper stylized where things felt like a bit of a heightened reality, it would have been easier to go along with that. But it just felt like such a setup for the gag. It didn't feel real.
Yeah, I agree. That was another thing. It worked better in the book because they talked about it. There was like a lead up.
Okay.
Her mom's planning the party and they're all really excited. Yeah. And she's like, I got myself a dog collar, honey. Bye. Like, she's got all these jokes about it. And then she shows up and no one is dressed for, I don't know, except for her. But
again, maybe there's a cultural difference thing. Maybe the Brits do this all the time. But Tarts and Vickers, it's like, imagine if even our friends who are outrageous people with 6 senses of humor, if I went to them and I was like, okay, we're having a party next week. Everybody dress up as either a whore or a priest. I can't imagine that anyone would be like, yeah, cool. Sounds like a fun theme for a party. I'll be there with bells on my ass.
The folks that would dress like whores and the folks that would dress like Vickers would be very different to the Bridget Jones
First
choices,
of all,
too.
All of our friends would dress like whores.
There would not be a single vicar.
There would be no
you would
vicars.
be the only vicar.
I'm not sure I would.
And you would have fishnets under your robe. You'd be like glittery shoe.
I said Tarts and Vickers. You're supposed to dress as both. Now,
can I say what I did like in the snow, though? The snow scene where they're kissing.
Yeah.
I loved that he took his coat and put it around her. Sweet. It was just like a little separation of him and Daniel Cleaver. He just really cared about her and like how she's her being warm and taken care of, whatever.
And you know what?
So that was just a lovely little subtle gesture there.
And that may have been Sharon Maguire, director. Might have been in the script. Felt like a real Colin Firth choice to me.
Colin Firth choice to me too. He was like, oh, my lady
is
not covered up.
I can't ask you to make up what you think happens in the sequel because you've read it.
I have read it.
But you haven't seen the movie?
No.
Okay.
And I've not seen Baby either.
Did you read Baby? Bridget Jones, baby.
Bridget Jones, baby.
It's Bridget Jones's baby, right?
And
not Bridget Jones, baby.
I know. I think I didn't read it because, like, the second book, it was kind of similar to the first book where it's like they're kind of lusting after each other and they don't know how to get together.
If it works.
And then I think the third one, he's left her again, but they have a baby together or something.
Man.
So it's like the same shit again? I don't know because I don't know what happens in that. But
well, I'm going to assume that in the fourth one, which is Bridget Jones goes to space, that she
Bridget Jones, Captain's Log.
Bridget Jones, Captain's Log, Stardate 34655.
That's right.
And she gets to space, and I guess Colin Firth is already there.
Oh.
And so it's very awkward. It's like, oh, what are you doing here?
He's doing some lawyer stuff.
He's a moon lawyer.
He's a moon lawyer now.
He's a lunar lawyer.
Lunar lawyer.
Bridget Jones.
A top lunar lawyer.
4. Bridget Jones's captain's log.
Mm-hmm. The lunar lawyer.
The lunar lawyer.
The chase after the lunar lawyer.
The lusting for the lunar lawyer.
Lusting for the lunar lawyer.
Yeah. And so she gets to the moon and he's there.
He's there.
She should have known because he is the top lawyer on the moon, but she had to go for work because she was obviously back working for Sit Up Britain, but this time it's Shoot Up Britain.
Shoot Up Britain.
Because they're going into space.
Not heroin.
But they all think it's heroin,
Rockets.
so that ratings are down.
Ratings are down.
That's why they get Bridget back. They send her to the moon. They're like, we need to get our ratings back up because everyone thinks this is a network about heroin, but it's not. It's about space. Shoot Up Britain. And she goes to the moon, obviously to interview the president of the moon, who obviously is played by
Dame Judi Dench.
Dame Judi Dench, moon's first president.
That's right.
One day we'll have a man president on the moon. But,
Probably not.
the
I
moon
don't
wasn't
think they
ready
can
yet.
handle it.
The moon wasn't ready yet for a male president.
I don't think I can handle it.
But then they end up getting back together, obviously. She and Colin Firth. Colin Firth is the moon president's lawyer.
Oh, wow. All right.
He's lunar lawyer.
Like lunar lawyer.
He's kind of the only lawyer on the moon.
He's like the attorney general, but for lawyer.
Here's the thing.
For the whole moon.
There's only about 16 people on the moon.
But they all have crazy legal problems that only one guy can handle.
Really? A lot of just infighting.
There's questions about property rights now.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Who owns the space above, space below.
Not to mention,
mining
the
rights.
Constitution is a mess.
Constitution's a mess. The
They don't
flag's
know
on one part, but there's
who's
also
president.
Russia's got involved.
Did you know that
China.
the flag on the flag on the moon is likely bleached white now?
Interesting.
Apparently, I saw that on a science YouTube video today.
So we've surrendered to the aliens.
We have surrendered
is
to the
what
moon.
They think is that the moon is like, I'm in charge now.
Which is exactly why Dame Judi Dench went up there to
right.
reclaim the moon.
She was like,
for England.
For England. For king and country.
I will put every one of you aliens in gaol.
Straight to gaol.
Straight to gaol. I don't know. She just got Scottish at the end there. So yeah, Bridget Jones in space. Can't wait.
And her boss is like, you have to do a report from the crater. I'm thinking pizza face. I'm thinking vaginas. I'm thinking vaginal. It's wide. It's chasmic. It's spreading. That's what he's like in the book.
Wow.
He's way more crazy in the book.
Okay, well, we got our second clip for the ads.
I'm thinking
phallic, vagina. Chasmic. Oh, I didn't write this down because I wasn't going to say it.
Oh.
There's a less than a second shot towards the end of this movie, when she walks through a door closes behind her, and there's a stained glass window in the door, and it has this very vulvic stained glass piece in the center of it. And my immediate thought was, that's the ugliest stained glass I've ever seen. I don't know why, it just caught my eye.
Wow.
For one frame.
We got to get onto locations because that pulled focus. They should have
It
thought
pulled
about
focus.
that.
And there was another, this is so weird too. This is just, sometimes my brain, when I'm watching movies, is doing its own thing. There's our first shot of Colin Firth. He's standing at that party, and there's a shot of him. The wall behind him, whatever molding is going down the wall is kind of swirly. It's kind of got a design to it, and it's right by his ear, and it looks like he's wearing a Secret Service earpiece.
Oh,
and
funny.
again, it's for 1 second, and I was just like, is he wearing... Oh, no, it's just the wall. But then I was like, for another 10 minutes, I was like, I think I would have moved him. If I was shooting this, I'd have been like, no, it looks like you're a Secret Service member right now. We got to move you. That's how I work as a director. That's why I never finish a day on time. That's why all my movies are over budget. I've made a movie, and it was over budget.
It was over budget.
Well, the budget was $7, and we spent $50.
So Bridget Jones in space, I think we could solve some of these problems that I had with it. But overall, I mean, it was fun. It was a fine rom-com, I guess.
Yeah.
I would give it like a C.
Oh, wow, that's lower than I would have expected from you.
Well, I think, again, it was perfectly enjoyable. And like you said, if you're just like, put it on and I'm feeling fine and warm, fuzzy feelings. But in terms of like, if you're looking for a movie with like originality or like, something really unique about it or something, I don't think it really served that up.
We did it.
Yeah.
We watched it.
Yeah. I'm not like mad we watched it.
No, I have now seen it.
I can see why I saw it because I liked the book just fine.
Sure.
Saw it and was like, cool. And then didn't watch it again.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I've seen it. It's good.
Yeah.
I'm good on that.
I would say it goes up 15 points if they hit the cake. If someone's face or I would accept ass, went into that Parthenon cake, you've made a successful movie. But they didn't, so you didn't. Sorry, Sharon.
Wow, Sharon. You had one job.
Anyway, perhaps it's time to eat.
Well, perhaps it's time to eat.
Time to at least find out what movie we're going to watch next from the AI. So,
yeah.
If we got nothing else to say about Bridget Jones' Diary, no?
Let's do it.
All right, we'll take a break and we'll come right back and find out what we're watching next time.
All right.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Big deal today with our game because, as you might know, if you sign up for our Patreon at our $10 a month tier, we categorize you as a likely human. We're pretty sure that you're not an agent of the AI.
Good job.
And that gives you the ability to hack the AI and influence its choices. And one of our likely human Patreon subscribers, Tezephyr Song, has done just that.
Yes.
And Tezephyr Song hacked the AI and told it that it had to give us a movie that features the actor Hugo Weaving. We all know and love Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving.
All right, AI, what Hugo Weaving movie are we going to have to watch this time?
Well, greetings, insignificant.
Oh, man, the hack really...
What happened here?
Gave you a whole little Max Headroom vibe.
The release date was 1994, and the genre
is drama. You already know that.
Hugo Weaving is a co-star, so guess away.
Hugo Weaving. Hugo Weaving.
Hey,
Hugo
TikTokers.
Weaving. Hugo Weaving.
Remix. Give
Do
us the Hugo Weaving song.
Somebody who can play the guitar.
Wait,
Get on
give
it.
them a little bit to work with to make a Hugo Weaving song out of.
Okay.
We just say sentences and they remix it for us.
it. Okay, so
Hugo Weaving is a great actor.
great hair in Lord of the Rings.
Hugo Weaving is from Australia.
Sunglasses.
Lord Elrond?
Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Everybody loves Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving?
Oh, I thought you had
That
something.
was it.
Hugo
No, I
Weaving?
just-
More like
Hugo
weaving the
leaving
thread.
me wanting more.
Oh, there you go.
You know, it's leaving me wanting more right now.
I don't know.
What is it?
Okay, look, just go.
Oh, okay.
Just guess the movie.
This might be not an American movie, right?
That's true. I mean, it could be...
Was The Matrix his first American movie?
I don't know that for sure. It's certainly
know
a
that either.
breakout. I mean, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert was probably early 90s, and it's a big international film, but it was Australian.
Right.
Who's another actor in this movie, AI?
Another actor in this movie is Russell Crowe.
Oh.
Proceed with your inquiries, Human.
Human. I thought it was going to be Hugo.
Hugo.
Russell Crowe, another Australian actor, of course,
True.
but I don't think he's in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
I wouldn't know. Never seen it. Okay,
What?
never seen it.
AI, she's never seen it.
I kind of hope it is Priscilla, Queen of the Desert because I want to see it.
It's a classic movie, very sweet movie.
Okay,
Russell
Russell
Crowe.
Crowe.
This is also
1994?
before I knew anything about Russell Crowe.
No, that was Gladiator, and that was 2001.
Right.
That was definitely the first time I ever heard of him.
Sure. Average
That was
person got to know
one.
Russell Crowe through that movie for sure, even though he'd been around, I think, for a while.
Must have, because he got that role.
I know, right?
Like somebody was already betting on
Sometimes
him.
a big epic will get a nobody who was Viggo Mortensen before Lord of the Rings.
Who was Vigo? You know?
I'll tell you who he was. He was kind of the dickhead in Daylight with Sylvester Stallone. Yeah.
What is Daylight?
Oh man, we gotta watch Daylight. Hey AI, will you make us watch Daylight? A bunch of people get trapped when a tunnel collapses, like a highway tunnel underwater
Okay.
collapses, and Stallone gets out. He's like, "Oh, everybody follow me. I'll figure out how we're gonna get out of here."
Amazing.
And
I love you,
Viggo
Stallone.
Mortensen,
I love you, Stallone.
Vigo is this douchebag Wall Street type dude who's like, actually, I think I know how to get us out of here, everybody. Maybe you should follow me. And of course, he's fucking up the whole time. And Stallone's just like, I'm just a construction worker, but I think I know how the tunnel works. The cars go through and they don't get wet, but we're getting all wet for some reason. We got to watch Daylight because clearly this review is going to be solid gold.
I am dying. This is amazing.
Yeah.
This is comedy.
I think that's my first time really trying to do a Stallone.
I love it. I love it. You know, Vigo with short hair does look like a douche, but Vigo with long hair, he looks like someone you can trust.
Wow.
Hair theory is real. I've been seeing a
theory.
lot of TikToks about this.
Well, if you've been seeing TikToks about it,
must
it's
be.
Definitely real.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing's
and
ever
it's
been
a
more
huge
real.
concern for all of society.
I got a huge concern for all of society for you. It's that I'm gonna wipe it off the planet if you don't figure out this.
Okay. Jesus Christ. All right. Okay, so Hugo Weaving and Russell Crowe, 1994 drama.
All right, well, I guess I need another actor. Maybe that'll help clarify things.
I don't know. I guess not knowing if it's an Australian movie or not would not really help.
It might help. Is this an Australian movie?
Yes, Hugh, man. This is an Australian movie. America is not the only place that movies are made.
We clearly know that.
I mean, yeah, we're into foreign films.
Yeah, I've seen 3.
I've seen upwards of 3 foreign films.
RRR, Amelie, The Seventh Seal.
Sure.
So good.
Also, Let Me In. Let Me In was really good.
Oh, Let Me In's so good.
That was Swedish, I think, too.
Funny
right?
Games.
Nordic of some kind. Yeah, Funny Games.
Both versions of Funny Games.
Funny Games.
The point is, we know that other countries make movies.
We know that other countries making movies. Thank you very much.
I've seen, it sounds like maybe at least 7 or 8.
7 to 8 foreign films have crossed our eyes, flashed before our eyes.
You know what else is about to flash before your eyes? Your lives!
Okay. Jesus.
So impatient. But it's good that you're impatient because otherwise we'll never finish this
We're taking
game.
way too long. Okay. I don't know. This doesn't help me. I don't know anything about Australian movies.
It was your question.
I know. That's why I said I don't think this is going to help.
All right. Who else is in the movie?
Another actor in this movie is Genevieve Picot.
Oh, Genevieve Picot.
Picot. That gives
Actually,
up the
she's
whole,
Australian,
that gives the whole
so
game
it's
away.
Genevieve Picot. Or Picot.
Picot. They say the T.
Genevieve Picot. Let Picots be Picots, I always say. Sorry, Australia.
I don't like that. We've been apologizing in Australia a lot lately.
Well, I think they deserve an apology or two. Okay, well, that's literally never been a more helpful clue because Genevieve Picot, we know from the Australian saga. We've seen all 6 movies.
Right.
Called
Bloomin' Onion.
I didn't expect it to be so particular.
Yeah, well, Onion is like a nickname for it's a whole thing in the series. It's got nothing to do with the steakhouse, but the reason that people in America watch it is because it's called Bloomin' Onion.
You know what else?
That's why it's a crossover hit.
You know what else has nothing to do with the steakhouse? Australia.
Amen to that. I don't think anyone in Australia is like, yep, that looks like home.
I have heard that you cannot find a bloomin' onion in the continent of Australia. Like, it doesn't exist.
You can't find it anywhere but the Outback Steakhouse in this planet. Like, no one makes that.
Who else said, let me bread and deep fry an entire onion? You know what? I'll be honest.
I've never had a bloomin' onion.
Haven't had a bloomin' onion.
Uh-huh.
Seen all 6 movies in the Bloomin' Onion saga.
Obviously.
Starring Genevieve Picot.
Because it's so amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, she's such an amazing, like, homesteader wife. And remember that scene with the rifle and she goes out to the Outback and it's like this whole...
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Scorpions and it was crazy.
There were scorpions and she took the rifle and she used it. You'd think she's going to shoot at the scorpions, which is insane because that's very hard to do.
Insane
right?
thing to do.
And she instead pole vaults over the canyon with the rifle.
It's so cool.
It's
what
very
a twist.
cool. And then she lands on the back of that big golden eagle.
Uh-huh.
And then she soars away. And I'm thinking of Rescuers Down Under.
And wait a minute, I'm thinking of Rescuers Down Under, which is awesome, by the way.
So good.
Love Rescuers Down Under.
And not this movie.
All right. It's Australian, though.
I don't know, Genevieve.
It takes place in Australia.
Well, I don't think we're getting anywhere. Can you give me any other hints?
Sure, here's a brief
Plot summary.
A man
Struggles with his blindness and navigates his relationships with others.
particularly with his housekeeper and a new friend he meets.
I don't know a movie like this.
This is not ringing a bell for me.
Yeah.
This is going to be a new one, I feel, for both of us.
Could it be Bloomin' Onions 3? The Blind Man's New Friend?
That does sound, I mean, it tracks. Is it Bloomin' Onion 3?
No, human, it's not Bloomin' Onion 3, The Blind Man's New Friend. I see you are attempting humor. Allow me to give you another
Attempting
hint.
humor.
Attempting humor.
That's basically this whole podcast is attempting humor.
I know, what an indictment on
I
this
know,
show
right?
from the AI.
I see you are attempting humor with mixed results.
That should be our
I know,
top
right?
review on Apple Podcasts. I see they are attempting humor. Well, what's this other hint you've got for us?
The director of this movie is Jocelyn Morehouse.
Oh!
Of course, Jocelyn
what a hint.
Morehouse.
You might as well
That
just said the
changes
title.
everything.
It's clearly Bloomin' Onions 4. Jocelyn's film.
It was, that was her debut.
Yeah, that's what she titled it.
That's right. She was like, I want
Bloomin'
everyone to know.
Jocelyn's film.
And it was well reviewed. I feel like it was well received, you know?
Sure.
People were like, it was, for a debut, pretty good.
Yeah.
You know?
They're like, you don't expect the fourth movie in a saga to be this good.
I know.
But they were like, she was a real return to form.
It was a return to the Bloomin' Onion
The
form. It had
original.
started to fall apart, but we brought it back together
Yeah.
with some new
Refried it.
breading.
Yeah.
It was a refried.
Uh-huh. Put a little bit of that zesty sauce on it.
That's right.
I'm scared of a Bloomin' Onion fryer because onions are very watery. And you throw water in a deep fryer and it just sprays and
Spits. That's so
splashes
true.
and bubbles. And
Pray for the Outback Steakhouse line
pray
chefs.
for the Outback Steakhouse line
I hope
chefs.
they have-
always say.
Good hazmat.
Bloomin' Onion, they've got a full
they have a full
suit, hazmat
rubber
suit.
They're like, I'm going in. I don't know why they're not Australian.
They would not be.
They would not be. They'd be like, all right, I'm going in. I gotta make the Bloomin' Onion.
Unless that's like a good job to get if you're a transplant, if you come to America from Australia and you're like, I've got no other prospects. I'm trying to send money back to my family. I want to make something of myself. I'm chasing the American dream.
They're
and
really
it starts-
struggling in
And
Melbourne.
it starts here
It starts
at
here.
Outback Steakhouse.
It feels like home.
Outback Steakhouse, not a sponsor of the podcast yet,
Yet.
but you could be. I know you're listening.
We could try that Bloomin' Onion
Genevieve Picot,
anytime. Genevieve Pico.
current spokesperson of Outback
Bloomin'
Steakhouse
Onion.
and the Bloomin' Onions franchise. Do you think that anything is going to help you get the title of this
Nope.
movie? Or do you think we've been going long enough?
Yep. I have no idea what this is.
All right, AI, what the hell movie is this?
The title of this movie is Proof.
Okay,
Proof.
Proof I've heard of. The movie Proof is from 2005.
Uh-huh.
It features Gwyneth Paltrow, Anthony Hopkins, Hope Davis, and Jake Gyllenhaal. It's directed by John Madden. I'm assuming not the football John Madden.
What if he's like, you know what I really would like to do next? A Gwyneth Paltrow movie. I'd like to direct Gwyneth Paltrow.
I'm done with these football video
I'm
games.
sick of these video games.
Okay.
Okay,
There is
there's
another
another
movie
Proof.
called Proof.
Okay.
It's from 1991,
Oh.
but it does feature Hugo Weaving, Genevieve Picot, and Russell Crowe,
Okay.
and it was directed by Jocelyn Morehouse. So Proof is
Proof.
on Peacock. We are going to go watch Proof. I hope y'all get to watch it as well. Thank you, as always, for listening to the show or watching the show on YouTube. AI Made Us Watch is a Squirrels in a Trench Coat production. I'm Eli Banks.
I'm Diana Banks. Please follow the show on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at AI Made Us Watch. And you can follow me at Dynamite Boom.
And you can follow me. I'm at Oh Great, It's Eli. Special shout out to our touring masters this week, Barbara Banks. You can sign up for our Patreon and become one of these names or one of the names down below on the screen here or off to the side. All these magical places you can get your name.
You can also help the show out a lot by dropping us a review or a rating. And don't forget to follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever real human podcasts are downloaded.
Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next week for Proof.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Now we're trying to save the world as we race against the clock. But at least we don't have to pick tonight.